Hey gang, how's it going? It's me, Christian. It's Wednesday. It's time to go live. It's 5 p.m. I'm a teacher of a space yoga studio, and we're going to be doing chair yoga today. I see that one person has joined. Hey, two people have joined. We're also live on YouTube. Maybe if I back up, I can accommodate both um, pieces of electronics. So we got Instagram here. Instagram, say hey to YouTube. YouTube, say hey to Instagram. Like I said, it's about 4:56. For everybody that's joining, if you saw the post earlier from Monica, we're going to be doing chair yoga today. Space Yoga Studio is an adaptive teaching studio, meaning that we can assimilate to a lot of different populations. And being very thoughtful, with so many folks working from home right now, we want to make sure that we are as approachable as we can be from a teaching standpoint and meeting people where they're at. So we're going to do chair yoga. It'll be a nice little change of pace. For those of y'all that are working from home right now, these are some really great functional things you can do throughout your day, because we know that a lot of times by the end of the afternoon, the demands of being a mom or being a dad or a spouse, or even an owner of animals, like your time just gets taken from you. So these are things that you can do organically throughout your day while you're working or going about your daily routine during quarantine, to make sure that you're getting in the movement that you need, to make sure that you're creating space for yourself. So welcome to everybody. Let's see if I can hit all these wave buttons. What's up? Thanks everybody for joining. So a couple of really quick housekeeping notes. So you just need a chair, preferably one that does not have arms on it, so we can move fluidly around it. Also, you'll see that I've got my yoga mat still underneath my chair. I'm on a tile surface, and in an effort to protect myself from the chair sliding, I've still got my yoga mat there. And plus, we'll be doing some postures where we'll extend away from the chair, like a warrior two, for instance. And so my feet will still be grounded, nice and firm. If you're on a carpeted surface, you're fine. But it's just a safety precaution. So also, you can see my Atlanta United scarf there. If you don't have one of those, I'm sorry. Please go online and get one because they're the best team ever. But a dish towel or an old t-shirt or a smaller blanket, go steal it from your kid, can help with several modifications that I'll present. Also, you can't really see on the YouTube, but maybe some on the Instagram channel. There's a little white box down here. For anyone who's going to be in a chair, if your feet don't completely ground to the earth when you're sitting in the chair, you can get a book or something of that kind so that you can have firm footing. Those are all the things. So we're going to get started here in just about a minute. Thanks to everybody that's joining. It's good to have y'all. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday if you hate hump day. It's just good to see all of you. That's it. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. So get situated, get comfortable, get the temperature right, turn on some music. We're going to get started here in just a moment. All right. I'm going to take these glasses off. It's not like I can see the computer and the phone anymore anyway. I do not need this box. So I'm going to move it out of the way. It's just here for demonstration purposes. Like I mentioned, you want to be able to make good connection with the earth, okay? As I mentioned, my name is Christian Frazier. I'm a teacher at Space Yoga Studio. I teach both at the studio and with Project Create Space. Project Create Space takes yoga into underserved populations where it would not ordinarily be available as an option for people. I go and teach at the Men's Transitional Center. So I teach those inmates that are in a progressive program prior to reentry into civilization. And yoga helps them with PTSD, anxiety, trauma, and it also helps them focus, helps them remain grounded, teaches them how to use their breath as a means of guidance. So if you like what you got to participate in today online, as well as with all of the other daily 5 p.m. yoga offerings from Space Yoga Studio, you can log onto the website, spaceyogastudio.com. There is a button that you can tap in there that will allow you to donate to Project Create Space. If you feel compelled to do so, please go do it. Monica Acosta will oftentimes monitor the comment section. So if you have any comments, please go ahead and make them. She will respond to them in kind, either during the broadcast or after the fact. We're going to get going. This will not last as long as our typical 5 p.m. broadcasts do. This will probably be around 25, 30 minutes. Chair yoga classes are typically shorter, and they're done so because of the populations that they usually are being offered to. Like I mentioned, several of you have joined. I can see that on the Instagram feed. Since we began, we wanted to offer something today as an alternative, as a supplement to your regular yoga practice. We know that a lot of you are working from home, and this will give you some functional movements that you can do throughout the day to maintain good positive movement in case your ability to practice is ever hampered. So you'll just need a chair, like I mentioned, preferably one with no arms. Right, still have my yoga mat underneath my chair because I'm on a tile surface and I want to make sure that it doesn't slide out from underneath me. And I'm not sitting all the way back. Right, I'm sitting forward, nice and tall. Okay, my feet are about hips distance apart. Hands are just resting gently on my knees. I got my shoulders pulled back and down, away from my neck and my ears. And I'm just going to invite you now with me to focus on your breath for a moment. You can close down your eyes if you like. Breathing in deep through the nose. You can breathe out through the nose if you like, or just kind of purse it out through your lips, through your mouth. We're just going to begin to deepen that breath, allowing ourselves to breathe beyond that upper respiratory region down into our abdominal. You could even bring your hands to your belly, and as you breathe in, feel it expand, and as you breathe out, feel it retract. Keeping those hands on those knees. I want you to just begin to go through several stations, dropping your head to the right, so as if you were trying to place your right ear on your right shoulder. And we're just going to allow that head to roll forward slowly till we become chin to chest. And then rolling to the left until that ear is attempting to touch that left shoulder. We're not going to go back, not in the chair. We don't want to disorient ourselves. So we'll roll back forward again, chin to chest. And rolling to the right again. Now, if you want to lengthen these stretches, and you can do this at your workstation, you can do this, and I keep mentioning it at home, but when you return to work, these are great things to do. So if we're in that, and you can go there, in that right ear to right shoulder, you can take this opposite arm and extend it out long, creating a little more length through here. And if you need a little bit extra, you can always take that right hand. And we're not cranking down on the neck, so we're actually stretching it a little bit more in alignment now. And you can see that the neck and the head and the arm are all in alignment. You can do that on the opposite side again. So taking that left ear to that left shoulder, arm extends out. Take that left hand to the top of the head. Just create a little more length. Rising back up. A lot of us work at computers, okay? So taking that opposite hand, or that right hand rather, not the opposite hand, palm facing the opposite wall. You can flex back on those fingers with your opposite hand. So now we're creating a little space in the wrists and in the musculature under the arm. Moving that hand over, gentle pressure on the top now, creating a little more space in that upper area of the wrists, that upper musculature. Alternating hands. So that opposite arm that you started from. And then flipping that palm over. Once again, gentle pressure here. You don't have to crank on that. You know your body. Just meet yourself where you're at. And then just roll those wrists out. Make sure, as we're going through this, that we're maintaining that nice, tall posture. I can see, so I'm just sitting up nice and tall and straight, keeping my shoulders back and down and focusing on my breathing throughout. We're gonna begin to take some of our tension down the bottom, work our way back up. Let me adjust this. Just want you to be able to see my feet on the YouTube playback, or if you're watching live on YouTube. So once again, feet hips distance apart. And I just want you to pick those toes up. So flexing those feet back towards you, right? Doing virtually the same thing that we did with our wrists. Just keeping them up. You put them back down from time to time if that flexes a lot. And then as an opposite movement, coming up onto those toes and standing those heels up nice and tall. So those of you at home, just looks like that. Okay. You can take turns, alternating, picking up the toes, placing them back down, picking up those heels. Just creating some flex and some length and some space. Now then, we're going to take, you can choose whichever leg you like. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Just remember which one you start with. We're going to start by taking our hands to the front of one of our knees and pulling it in towards us. Still sitting up nice and tall. Okay. You don't need to rock back into that backrest on that seat, all right? So just keep it nice, straight, tall spine and pulling that knee into you. Alternating to the other leg this time. And here you can alternate picking those toes up, flexing them down. I didn't say that on the first leg, but we're going to go back through it. So now that that foot is free of the ground, you can get a little bit more flexion with that ankle complex. Make little circles with them too. Now, starting back with that first leg, instead of reaching out in front of that knee, we're going to reach right behind it, okay? And pull that in. Once again, make circles here, alternate, picking those toes up, pointing them down, and then extending that leg out in front of you. You can pick it up a little higher if you like. This is why I brought out this very beautiful scarf. So if it's difficult for you in any way, shape, or form, right? And I'm not saying that it is for anybody, but you never know who we have watching. So if this is a lot, right? Or if you find that you're slipping there, you can always take something like this beautiful scarf or a towel, like I mentioned, or a t-shirt up underneath and just help pull that leg in, right? Always, always, always meet yourself where you're at. There's always a way. There's always a modification. All right, so I was on my right leg. We're going to switch over to this left leg now. Remember, gripping behind, pulling it in nice and close, using those hip flexors in that core abdomen area. Continue to work on those ankles. Our ankles don't get a lot of attention. That's something I learned in adulthood. They're kind of the lost area of our bodies. And they generally seem to hurt the most. When we're like, this is who I am now. This is my life. My ankles, they hurt. Extending that leg out in front. Tilting those toes back towards you. Pointing them forward. Then picking that leg up higher if you can. And we're just getting some space back here in the back. And then putting that back down. Now then, if you need to, I'm kind of scooted up far in mine as I've been moving around a lot. You can scoot back towards the back a little bit. Still want to suggest not to have your back resting. We don't want to be at this angle where we're like this, right? You can probably see that really well now that I've turned. Still, although I'm seated nice and far back, I'm maintaining that strong, tall, straight spine. Sit up nice and big. Okay. So the reason I had you move back though, is we're going to reach that arm across and anchor ourselves using this left arm to the right side of the chair. Other arm comes up and back. I'll show you what it looks like from the side. So we're anchoring ourselves here, reaching up nice and tall, and then twisting to the back. Making sure that I have this anchor point helps me to not fall out of this chair, which would be wildly funny, but also wildly embarrassing on the internet. You can hold that as long as you like. Untwisting, coming back forward. I'll turn back to the other side. So now I'm going to anchor myself to the left side using my right arm. Arm comes up and twist to the left. Now then, continue twisting. Don't turn around because I turned around. If getting to the side of that chair is not something that you have access to, just use your thigh, okay? You can still accomplish the same thing without getting hold of that chair. that's taking into consideration that you all probably have different chairs, right? Your thigh is enough, your knee is enough. We're just working on this twist. Coming back around to center. We've done a lot of movement, and I mentioned that because it may not seem like we've done a lot, but for certain populations, this may have been a lot. For people who are, only trying this for the first time because it was in a chair, we asked a lot of them. Maybe you notice that even though you're in this temperature-controlled house of yours, you're sweating a little bit, right? You have been asking your body to do things. You've been moving. In our normal yoga practice, at the studio, or even on the series that we're doing here online, after some movement, we would have invited you to do a child's pose, to check back in with your breath, check back in with your attentions, and invite you now to just take a couple of deep breaths. We're ready to move on again. That's something that I learned, is to hit pause from time to time. So many of us react to everything in this world. And it's because of our inability to just pause. So you can always take that whenever you need it, not just in your practice, but also in your life. So we are going to scoot back into the front of our chairs again. And what that looks like, so everybody can see. As I'm still sitting, you can see the chairs, cutting into my thighs right there. So I still have a good firm rooting with my chair. But from here, and I'll also turn to the side, you can take those feet out a little bit wider than hips distance. If you have your yoga mat underneath your chair like I do, and it's not required that you do, but just to give you some idea, my feet are on the edges of my mat right now. So they're just outside of hips distance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to release by hinging at the hips, releasing my chest down towards my thighs, right? And keeping my butt where it is. I still feel comfortable and not falling out of my chair. If you need to make some adjustments, please do that. I want you to be safe, okay? So releasing down. I can put my hands on the mat from here. If you feel necessary, you can keep them a hold of the outer edges of your chair, all right? This is your practice. Just meet yourself where you're at. Hold in here for about one more breath. And then rising back up. Very good. So, staying where we are in our chairs, just up there towards the front. So we're going to continue to focus on that from the ground up. Just want you to take this right foot and cross it over to your left. We're all accustomed to doing this from time to time. You can utilize your hands in a way that'll help you get a little bit more out of this figure four stretch. For some of you, it may be cupping this hand around the blade edge of the foot and then just using your arm, not cranking down, right? I don't want you to do that because you can see how it starts to tilt me. But just using the weight of your arm to create a little bit more in this figure four stretch. Depending on how you're feeling, you're probably starting to feel this on the outside, maybe on the inside of your leg a little. It's going to be different for all of us. We're all at a different place in our journey. But instead of just sitting here casually with our legs crossed, we're doing it for intentional reasons now. For those of y'all that need a little more, you can always hook that elbow around and pick that leg up. It's not for everybody. So staying here for about one more breath. And then just uncrossing and doing the opposite leg. So getting to where you feel comfortable. Using that left arm across that left knee for a little bit of extra leverage or weight, body weight. That's it. Releasing that foot back down. Checking back in with our posture really quick, making sure we're still sitting up nice and tall, shoulders back and down. We're going to remain up here on the front edge of the seat, and I'll invite you to widen those legs as far as you feel comfortable. This will almost look like our goddess pose when we begin to go through it. So what we're going to do is just do 3 sequences of balancing ourselves. You can use your hands. If you need to scoot back a little bit, right? Still got our feet nice and wide. Now my hands are on the front of the chair. Sit up nice and tall, chest pushed out, shoulders pulled back. And I'm just going to maintain some weight now in my core and in my legs, and then just sit back down. I never truly came off the chair, right? So I'm just using it as a base. I'm rocking the weight more into my feet now. So my body is being supported right now almost entirely by the chair. I can pick these feet up nice and easily. And I'm rocking my weight forward, and just standing up ever so slightly. The backs of my thighs still on the chair. In this partial yogi squat / goddess pose. Feels pretty good, right? We'll do one more, because I talk through one of those, because I talk a lot. Coming forward, we'll be here for about 2 or 3 breaths. And then sitting back down. You can bring those legs back forward, take some of the tension off of them. Hope everybody's feeling good. We'll be at this for just a couple more minutes. We got a couple more things we're going to do. So now that we've got the legs nice and warmed up, that helped us engage our core some more. We're going to do a couple of one of my favorite poses in the chairs, as well as in my normal practice, the Warrior Two. So this is something that's typically uncomfortable for you, or maybe it has caused yoga to not be approachable to you in the past. This is a great way to kind of like kickstand into it. So we're going to sit back a little bit to ensure that we have maximum protection from the chair in terms of our balance. We're going to take this, I'm going to start with my right foot. And what I'm doing is, and this is actually the modification as well. So my legs are now at 2 different 90-degree angles. My right hip is open completely. This knee and this foot are tracking towards this wall over here. This knee and this foot are tracking towards you, the audience. Okay, now this is where you're at today. That's great, right? I got my legs nice and wide. I'm getting some nice openness in my hips, as well as the interior musculature in my legs. All right, if I wanted to, I could extend those arms out in either direction, and this is a modified Warrior Two. You're invited, however. So if you scoot up a little bit farther, you can see the corner of the chair is still exposed right here. My feet are still in those 90-degree angles. You can take this back leg and extend it back. All right, now I've got a little bit more length. I'm back on the blade edge of that foot. And I'm in my seated warrior two. That's a little uncomfortable. You're invited to extend up even further on the front of that chair. I am still 100% on it. It's not an illusion. And you'll find that the more you move around in this posture in the chair, you're going to feel it in different places, and that's good. Just breathe here. One more breath. And then come down. Reposition ourselves. Get back to center. This is almost like coming back to mountain before we move again. All right, so here we are. We're going to do the opposite side now. So I'm going to open up these legs. Here I am sitting back nice and far in my chair. The corner of it is exposed. Legs are at the right angles, sitting up nice and tall. Extend those arms in either direction. And I'm in my warrior two. Second option, just make whatever adjustments you need to get yourself out to that blade edge. Here I am in warrior two again. If you're feeling a little more confident while coming up to the edge of that chair, this is your third option. Breathe in here for one more breath. Hands come down. Just work ourselves back to center. All right. What yoga practice would exist without some form of down dog involved with it? So no, not all chair yoga practices involve you staying entirely adhered to the chair. Depending on your comfort level, you can get up and move around. Like I mentioned, we do this for a lot of different populations. Some are going through physical therapy. We've dealt with individuals at the VA who have limited mobility, kids at the cancer center who obviously don't have the same range of motion as the rest of us. The list goes on and on and on. So if this is something you decide to explore a little more, you're going to find out that there are a lot of different posture sequences that can be accomplished in the chair. A lot of them in it, some of them off of it, most of them attached to it in some degree. So one of the ones I want to show you before we get done, so completely out of the chair now, feet hips distance apart. And so that would just look like such. And then my hands holding on to the outer edges. And you'll notice that if I hinge at the hips and allow my head to fall heavy through the window that is my arms, I'm in a standing down dog assisted by my chair. Can walk, and so staying with the theme that our chair, is something that is necessary for us for this practice. Instead of just standing up and letting go, maybe that would be too much for you. Just walk those feet forward. All right, keeping your hands there all the time. Another great posture we would do this. Now I'm going to start Warrior One setup. So we have our lead leg forward. My right leg is back. I still have a good firm hold on the chair. And I can twist up and to the left for triangle. Coming back down, making sure I'm secured back to the chair. Alternating those feet. So my right leg is forward, my left leg is back. Move about 3 paces apart. And I can twist up and to the right, taking my gaze with that right hand. Coming back down, stepping back forward. Coming back to seated. Bringing my hands to heart center, chin to chest. Thank you for joining me today in this adaptive practice. Thank you for being a part of the space community. Thank you for choosing yourself today and giving yourself the opportunity to do self-care. Thank you for trusting me to lead you. You are worthy, you are deserving, you are enough. The light within me sees, honors, and respects the light within each of you. Namaste. So, we will go back to regular yoga programming tomorrow. Thanks for taking part in this class. We hope that everyone's staying safe and that your families are doing well. We look forward to seeing you back in the studio. Just as a reminder, if you enjoyed the practice today or if you enjoy all of these practices on a daily basis, please consider going to give to Project Create Space on the Space Yoga Studio website. Thank you.